This program is brought to you by Link TV for educational and non-commercial use only. Mosaic, a daily news program from Link TV, presents a selection of news reports from independent and state-controlled broadcasters from throughout the Middle East.
Supporters of former Pakistani Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif protested today in many different Pakistani cities. They were protesting the Supreme Court's decision banning him from being a part of the upcoming elections.
The court has also disqualified Nawaz's brother, Shahbaz Sharif, who is the minister of the Punjab region. This means that he has lost his status. Nawaz's first reaction, according to his spokesman, is that he will not appeal the court's decision because he does not recognize the legitimacy of the Constitutional Court. Our reporter Shamir Alawi reported about the Constitutional Court's decision and the reactions from Islamabad.
The Supreme Court in Pakistan has decided to end the political term for the former Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif and his brother Shahbaz. This has opened the door for a political crisis in the country. Disqualifying them will result in the fall of the Punjab government, which is the largest region in Pakistan and headed by Shahbaz.
According to the first principle of jurisprudence, they should have separated the issue of the legitimacy of the court's judges before deciding to disqualify anyone else.
The Constitutional Court has finally decided to disqualify Shahbaz Sharif and prevent him from holding any public office, which means that he has lost his position as the leader of the largest region in the country.
Sharif's supporters quickly rejected the court's decision and held a demonstration outside the regional parliament of Punjab. They realized that their only option is to mobilize the Pakistani street as a way to force the court to recognize Sharif and his brother against the will of the ruling People's Party. Sharif announced that his party will join a demonstration that will be organized by lawyers next month to demand the reinstatement of the previous Constitutional Court Chief Judge.
This shows that Pakistan did not have justice in the past, and it does not have justice now. Now one can expect justice to prevail in the future.
The Pakistani people have barely celebrated the peace agreement in the Swat Valley, only to have to deal with the Constitutional Court's decision, which will continue to impact Pakistan on several levels. To begin with, the Pakistani stock market lost more than 4 points. Some believe that the decision to ban Nawaz Sharif and his brother Shahbaz from office will only make them more popular, especially when considering that they accuse the Constitutional Court and the central government of being part of a dictatorship system. Pakistan now finds itself confronting a new political crisis that is just as dangerous as its security crisis. Samir Alawi, Al Jazeera, Islamabad.
Al Jazeera, Islamabad.
Fighting continues in Mogadishu, the capital of Somalia, between the Islamic armed rebels, the peacekeeping forces belonging to the African Union, and the Somali police. The international campaign against aggression continues to negotiate with rival factions. However, they have not provided any information regarding the negotiations.
These civilians are not going to their workplace. Instead, they are running away because they are afraid from the random shooting and shelling that is taking place in Mogadishu. The fighting started when armed Muslim rebels attacked the peacekeeping forces that belong to the African Union and the Somali police. As usual, most casualties were civilians. Children, women, and the elderly were killed or injured due to the heavy shelling between those fighting.
A shell hit our home. My uncle was injured badly. He's now undergoing surgery, and we do not know anything about him.
Doctors and nurses at Al Medina Hospital are exhausted while they are trying to rescue the injured. The hospital is not well equipped and it is packed with people due to the large number of casualties and their families who are visiting.
We received a large number of casualties. We have someone coming in every minute. There are more than 200 injured civilians in the hospital.
The international campaign against aggression continues to meet with the Somali rivals, in which the Somali president, Al-Sheikh Sharif Sheikh Ahmad, is trying to reinforce a Somali reconciliation. The international campaign against aggression has not released any details regarding the negotiations. Many efforts are being exerted to stop the bloodbath. However, it seems that the language of the bullets is louder than the language of negotiations. Abd al-Rahman Bukhari, Al-Arabiya, Mogadishu.
Rival Palestinian factions have been talking in Cairo, and a major announcement is being predicted from there in the next few hours. Fatah and Hamas are trying to heal a rift that's widened since Hamas forcibly took control of the Gaza Strip nearly 2 years ago. Fatah, led by Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas, has released about 40 Hamas prisoners in the West Bank in what's being called a goodwill gesture. The Israeli warplanes bombed smuggling tunnels under the Gaza-Egypt border. Palestinians working in the tunnels in Rafah are reported to have evacuated before the strike took place. The Israeli military said it was responding to rocket fire from Palestinian fighters earlier on Wednesday.
Likud began coalition talks with right-wing parties today in Ramat Gan, though Benjamin Netanyahu has not given up hope of forging a broad-based government with Labour and Kadima. IBA's Viva Press joins us now from our Tel Aviv studio with the details. Good evening, Viva.
Good evening, Yochanan, and that's right, negotiations for a Likud-led coalition took place this afternoon at Kfar Maccabiah, just outside of Tel Aviv. Likud representatives began the day with meetings with Israel Beitenu. On the agenda, Avigdor Lieberman's demand to be foreign minister. Israel Beitenu MK Stas Miseshnikov called Likud and his party natural partners. Netanyahu's representative, MK Gidon Sa'ar, says Likud sees eye to eye with Israel Beitenu on a majority of issues. Miseshnikov said a partnership between Likud, Kadima, and Israel Beitenu could be the best thing for the state, but as we know from earlier talks between Kadima and Likud, without a rotating leadership scheme, Tzipi Livni seems intent on leading the opposition. Both Likud and Israel Beitenu refused to say whether any deals were cut today. Netanyahu will meet with Labour leader Ehud Barak and Tzipi Livni again in the coming days. Well, Shas arrived a bit late for its meeting with Likud. Before entering the room, Shas chairman Eli Shai said he felt like he was meeting with friends. He said the economic crisis was a primary issue on the agenda, and Ishai said there were some big gaps between Shas and Likud on this issue. Lastly, Likud representatives met today with the United Torah Judaism faction. UTJ chairman Yaakov Litzman also put the economic issue up front, saying his party could share the Likud's way so long as certain understandings were met. Both Shas and UTJ want the housing and construction portfolio. The ultra-Orthodox parties are also demanding control of religious affairs and more funding for child supplements and yeshivas. Should Israel Beitenu join Likud, a clash with Shas on matters of religion and state could be in the offing, though according to a Ynet report, Lieberman told associates that civil marriage was only the third priority and that he would agree to a compromise on the issue. As we've mentioned earlier this week, Netanyahu has less than a month to put together a coalition. Yochanan, back to you in Jerusalem.
Viva Press, thank you, reporting from our Tel Aviv studio. Foreign Minister Tzipi Livni today thanked visiting Cypriot Foreign Minister Marcus Capriano for his assistance in preventing a Cypriot flag container ship from delivering arms from Iran to Gaza at the beginning of this month. The two foreign ministers discussed bilateral issues of importance to both nations. Capriano described relations between Israel and his island nation as strong, both diplomatically and economically. Well, the Syrian nuclear facility bombed by Israel a year and a half ago is now a missile base. This according to diplomats following a closed-door meeting between the head of Syria's nuclear program and representatives of the International Atomic Energy Agency. Damascus has consistently denied the site was ever a secret nuclear facility built with North Korea's help. Syria also refuted IAEA claims that traces of uranium were found in the rubble. The reactor was near completion when it was destroyed in an attack in September 2007. British-born, Holocaust-denying Catholic Bishop Richard Williamson is back home today after being booted out of Argentina. The 68-year-old Williamson, surrounded by police and private security guards, refused to comment as he was escorted through a crowd of waiting reporters. He has been at the center of a raging controversy after telling Swedish television last month not one Jew was killed by Nazi gas chambers. It was all lies. He insisted that the Germans did not operate gas chambers and that no more than 300,000 Jews perished in concentration camps, not 6 million. As the Catholic cleric left Argentina, he made threatening gestures at a local reporter. The government in Buenos Aires ordered Williamson to leave the country because his comments were deeply offensive to Argentine society, the Jewish people, and humanity.
Many neighborhoods in the Najaf province in southern Iraq suffer from deteriorating services. The Ansar neighborhood, for example, was neglected by officials in the province and by the federal government.
برغم التحسن الأمني الذي تميزت به محافظة النجف عن غيرها من المحافظات الأخرى طوال الفترة الماضية.
Despite the security improvements, especially in the Najaf province, and although 3 years have passed since the regional development project was launched, most of the Najaf province still suffers from lack of public services. Al-Ansar neighborhood is one of the neglected neighborhoods, where sewage water and garbage can be seen in small alleys, creating an ideal environment for the spread of diseases.
We do not have a sewage system. We do not have public services. We do not even have paved roads. The living condition in the Ansar neighborhood is very bad. Whenever it rains, it becomes very muddy and no one collects the garbage.
The residents of Al-Ansar neighborhood, who became vocal on several occasions, talked about the spread of cancer in the neighborhood, which claimed many lives.
The situation is very bad. Officials promised us that things will change today and tomorrow, but nothing happened. We have 35 or 40 cases of cancer.
Residents in the neighborhood said that many local officials know about the spread of cancer in the neighborhood, but they still have not exerted any effort to investigate the disease and stop it from spreading.
One official came here and said that he would do something the next day, but he has done nothing for the people. This is what they have been doing all along. All the officials in Najaf are thieves. None of them are poor. The garbage is never collected.
The reasons behind the spread of cancer in this neighborhood are still unknown. While some experts say that the toxic gases from the wastes are the reason, others believe that the cancer is caused by the weapons that were used by the American forces during their war on Iraq. Regardless of the reasons, Iraqi citizens continue to suffer the consequences.
Hundreds of Iraqi women are heading towards the Ministry of Work and Social Affairs in Baghdad on a daily basis to request financial aid from the government due to deteriorating economic and social conditions, as well as the loss of their husbands and providers.
Reports issued by the State Ministry of Women Affairs in Iraq indicated that 300,000 widows live alone in Baghdad. Meanwhile, the number of women divorcees living in Baghdad is 1.5 million. 4 million are illiterate.
Alone, they confront poverty and destitution, leading to a very difficult life. They're responsible for themselves and families after having lost the breadwinner. This is the situation for more than 1.5 million Iraqi women who have become widowed during the war on Iraq. Hundreds of Iraqi women regularly visit the Ministry of Work and Social Affairs in Baghdad to request financial aid from the government. Meanwhile, their suffering worsens with the unstable security situation.
I have 2 sons who were kidnapped. I returned to the house and my first son was gone. My second son was kidnapped in October. I am a widow. I don't have anyone. I came to file my papers for assistance.
Only 84,000 widows in Iraq have been able to obtain aid from the government that amounts to between $40 and $58. One of the widows said that she faces extreme hardship in raising her children with such little amount of money.
I'm a widow. My husband was killed by terrorism in 2006. I have 4 children. I and my husband's second wife are partnering. She has 4 children. The salary is very low. It's so low that the other day my son wanted to go to the cemetery to visit his father's grave, but we didn't have enough money.
وتشير بيانات وزارة الدولة لشؤون المرأة في العراق إلى أن 300,000 أرملة يعيشن في
Reports by the Ministry of Women's Affairs in Iraq indicate that 300,000 widows live alone in Baghdad. In addition, 1.5 million women are divorced and about 4 million others do not know how to read or write. The State Minister of Women's Affairs in Iraq, Nawal al-Samarai, submitted her resignation on February 5th, protesting what she described as the lack of resources designated to confront the large number of widows, unemployment, oppression, and incarceration.
The State Ministry of Women's Affairs does not have sufficient capabilities and lacks human or financial resources. Also, the State Minister is not given the appropriate authority in accordance to the laws governing the ministries. So my presence in this position doesn't mean anything. I cannot achieve anything in this position.
With the lack of education and trainings for women to re-enter the employment market, these Iraqi women are losing opportunities to obtain salaries to support their families.
The Iraqi society must put forth greater efforts to help women obtain their rights. We have women who work and are qualified, but even now many women are illiterate and there is a large percentage of needy women who are not qualified to work and are uneducated. We need to make greater effort.
Despite aid administrators, women's committees, and state ministries, a large number of widows and divorcees in Iraq continue to suffer amidst very difficult conditions. However, they still hope that they will one day be able to lift the burden from their shoulders.
An Iraqi doctor in the Center for Bone Marrow Transplants has performed a successful stem cell transplant operation on a British doctor after hospitals around the world refused to perform such a surgery. The use and transplant of stem cells in operations for the treatment of damaged cells is considered to be one of the rarest operations in the world.
After hospitals in London and other countries refused to perform a bone marrow transplant operation, using stem cell support, Dr. Andrew White found his cure in Baghdad. Iraqi doctors have performed the first of its kind stem cell transplant surgery at the Center for Bone Marrow Transplants in Baghdad. Stem cells are used to treat damaged nerve cells.
I was concerned because this was the first time I performed such a surgery. We performed the surgery and the result was much better than previously expected. We injected inhibitors under the skin in order to increase the number of stem cells in the bloodstream. On Thursday evening, we collected cells from the patient's body using a special device. The process took nearly 1 hour to complete. After that, we harvested the stem cells and injected them in the bloodstream, where they will find their way to the bone marrow.
After losing hope of receiving treatment in the civilized world, Andrew, who is a British citizen, decided to contact some colleagues in Baghdad to perform the surgery. Andrew said that he had made the call because he trusts Iraqi doctors and believes in them. He said that he found what he was looking for in Baghdad.
Well, I have worked in Baghdad. I couldn't find any treatment in England or the US, so I decided to undergo surgery here in Baghdad. I have great trust in Iraqi doctors. The success of the operation has impressed British medics, especially after a notable improvement in my health conditions just 2 hours following the operation.
The success of the operation has prompted officials at the Center for Bone Marrow Transplants to invite patients suffering from nerve paralysis to seek treatment.
We call on all Iraqi patients, especially those at high risk, and Arab and foreign patients, to come to Iraq and undergo the surgery.
We have passed through a period of suffocating crackdown. Now that the suffocation is over, work started to flow freely in Baghdad. The free Iraqi citizen proved that he could fly to the top of the scientific pyramid.
Every now and then, Andrew receives medical treatment in the form of follow-up sessions held in Baghdad. This news comes at a time surgeries like Andrew's are hardly ever performed in Arab countries or countries of the civilized world. Meanwhile, hope is being launched from Baghdad for every patient in need of such surgery, with an open invitation to any case around the world. Qais Al-Murshid, Iraqiya, Baghdad.
الوضع الاقتصادي في دبي حاليا وبشكل عام أفضل مما كان متوقعا.
The economic situation in Dubai is better than what people thought a few months ago, thanks to the strength of the local economy and the ability of local companies to cope with the new economic conditions caused by the global financial crisis. Local companies have managed to prepare themselves to overcome this period, which means that the economic recovery will come sooner than what people had thought. The economy of Dubai is still expected to grow by a rate of 4% in 2009, which is significant, especially when considering the international economic conditions. We leave you with Sagher Salam.
While large industrial countries are going through economic stagnation, the economy of Dubai will grow by 4% this year. This is significant, especially when considering that gigantic economies of industrial countries have been shaken by the international economic conditions.
The economic situation now is better than it used to be. Now, we are in a better condition than we thought 4 months ago, thank God. This means that our economy has been prepared to deal with the international financial crisis. Our companies and institutions have adjusted themselves for the new situation. We have prepared ourselves to deal with this situation, and this is a good thing, because it means that the economic recovery will come quicker.
The UAE federal government and the government of Dubai have put different plans in place to cope with the international financial crisis. The plans create new opportunities for investments in the real estate and the banking sector, which were affected first by the international crisis. Perhaps the plan that will have the quickest impact is the plan of injecting $120 billion into the Dubai banking system, as well as the selling of $20 billion in bonds in 2 stages. Therefore, the real estate market and the banking system, which were affected the most, are now the beneficiaries of these plans.
The financial crisis in the world has created opportunities. Today, people are talking about the decline in real estate. Yes, real estate has been impacted, that is true, but this creates opportunities for people who were not able to afford real estate in the past. They can buy real estate now. This applies to individuals, companies, and investors in general.
Observers believe that that these daring economic plans are aimed at protecting the local economy and stimulating it, as well as to build people's confidence in Dubai's economy. Dubai now is preoccupied with implementing plans aimed at reviving the economy under the banner, "Let our achievements speak for themselves."
The executive director of the Daman for Investments, Shihab Gargash, said that real estate in Dubai has been adjusting to the global financial crisis. He said that the decline in the real estate market has not ended yet, but he added that it will not decline much further. Gargash predicted that the real estate market in Dubai will decline by 15% before it starts increasing again.
القطاع العقاري من القطاعات الهامة التي يجب وضع العين عليها لأن
It is important to keep an eye on the real estate sector because it is indicative of when the economy will recover. I think that it will take some time before the real estate values start increasing again. I believe that real estate will continue to decline before it starts to increase again. The real estate market will go down an additional 15%.
The novel The Unfaithful Translator by Syrian author Fawaz Haddad has made it onto the short list of finalists for the International Award for Arabic Fiction. Haddad is one of Syria's distinguished and creative authors in the writing and translation of Arabic fiction. In honor of the novel The Unfaithful Translator and in honor of its author, the Dar al-Ulum presents the following report, which was prepared by our colleague Ibrahim al-Mazri as part of the several reports on the short list of the Arabic Booker Prize.
The art of writing is often described as a perfect world. However, the novel The Unfaithful Translator by Syrian author Fawaz Haddad has proven otherwise. The picture that the novel has painted may seem familiar to the authors, but not to the readers.
The readers were really shocked by the novel. They have never imagined that this line of work will be associated with corruption.
The novel tells the story of a translator who's accused of dishonesty and who's criticized by a journalist, not in defense of literature, but rather to settle a personal score. In the novel by Fawaz Haddad, the culture was portrayed as a method of execution used against society.
In the novel, a scholar is put on trial where he is judged harshly due to the deteriorating cultural situation.
In a general sense, novelist Fawaz Haddad has said that The Unfaithful Translator is a journey in the world of novels and translation. He added that his novel carries yet another perspective.
From a narrow perspective, the novel is a journey in the world of literature, not only in Syria, but in the Arab world as well, as culture there is somewhat similar.
Along with The Unfaithful Translator, Syrian author Fawaz Haddad has written other novels which focus on real issues in the Arab society and history, based on a Syrian state of affairs. Among his writings, The Last Message, The Uneducated Boy, Hate and Love, Messenger of Love, and The Passing Scene. Haddad believes that awards are a motivating factor, which encourages better writing. This is what he said about the Arabic Booker Award.
The award doesn't take into consideration the status of the author, his fame or reputation, but rather looks into the novel per se. Also doesn't take into consideration the geographic distribution, meaning it doesn't give a share for each country.
The Unfaithful Translator by Fawaz Haddad has made it to the shortlist of novels for the 2009 Arabic Booker Award.
Get more news about the Middle East online at linktv.org/Mosaic. The Mosaic webpage offers a complete archive of Mosaic programs, program transcripts, the Mosaic video podcast, and the Mosaic Intelligence Report, a weekly analysis of the hottest stories from the Middle East. The views expressed on Mosaic are those of the participating broadcasters, not Link TV or its sponsors. The production of Mosaic is made possible with the support of viewers like you. Thank you. This program was brought to you by Link TV for educational and non-commercial use only. Link TV is the only U.S. television network devoted to global and national news, with uncompromising documentaries and diverse cultural programs. Programs which connect you to the world.